What's going on, guys? After a few Wi-Fi issues, a few power outages, and having food poisoning, I finally am able to get this video done. So this is my top 10 Resident Evil creatures, and for the record, before I get this one started, this is all-time creatures that you see several times throughout the storyline. That's what I was aiming for. My favorites are some of the ones that you see pop up several times because they bring you some of the most nostalgia, and I also went for some of the scary ones. But yeah, let's get right into it. So number 10, I put Paleheads. And the thing about Paleheads is they kind of work the same as Regenerators, but I don't know, when they first came out with them in the RE2 remake, I was like, eh. And then them being in an RE3 remake, it was even more like, okay, bored of it. But I don't know, I don't think they're ever going to use the Paleheads again for a game. I think that's just an RE2 and RE3 remake engine kind of character. So they'll probably forever be forgotten about, but they will be my number 10 as some of the best creatures because they were pretty scary looking. But yeah, other than that, let's move on to number 9. Number 9 are Drain Demos, but these are the Drain Demos that I'm trying to talk about. These are the ones that I think are most scary. The first picture I showed are the ones that are in Resident Evil 3 Remake that I think most people might know, but these are the OG Drain Demos. These things scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. These things are some of the reasons why it took me years and years to actually beat the original Resident Evil 3. I've tried it so many times as a kid, and I failed. And they send you these Drain Demos at some of the earlier stages of the game, and it really makes it hectic when you're not prepared. Number 8, I put the spiders because this is another one that as a kid gave me nightmares, terrified me. This game being the prime example. Code Veronica, having this spider encounter specifically just totally did me in for trying to beat this game. It took me a long time to beat this game, and honestly, the spiders are something that they need to continue using, but it has been so long since they've even included one of the giant spiders, and honestly, I thought that they would do it in RE2 Remake. I think a lot of people did, but we were unfortunately disappointed to see that. And even though I'm someone that says these spiders scared the living crap out of me, I would have still liked to have had it because that's what us Resident Evil fans really hope for, is something that scares the crap out of us. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of a mistake that they didn't add the spiders. They're some of the scariest things to ever be in the game and to show up multiple times throughout the game. But, I don't know. Capcom hopefully uses spiders in the future, or if not, I will be playing these older Resident Evil games forever to relive my first experience with one of these big spider creatures. But other than that, let's move on to number 7. Number 7, I put the Lickers. Now, this is going to be all RE2 Remake gameplay from a speedrun I did, and I was super upset because this Licker literally just grabbed me in the doorway right when I was about near escape. Right as I'm in the doorway, he grabs me. Yeah, so I was pretty upset about that. It might have even gone on to ruin that run, but obviously I didn't show much emotion because I'm trying to keep my cool within the speed run and not lose it completely. But anyways, these Lickers go to show that they don't mess around, and they're in quite a few of the games, and that's what I really like about them, is because there isn't really one game where you think, oh, the Lickers are easy. No, there is not a single Resident Evil game where a Licker is just an easy target. Like, anytime you got a Licker encounter, you're in for some trouble. So that's what I like most about them, but other than that, I'm gonna move on to number 6. Number 6, I put the Hunters. And the awesome thing about the Hunters is that they're always around, and they kind of started from the older games. This is gameplay of me in Code Veronica battle mode, and I mean, they're always used. If you think about it, kind of in the later years, they've stopped using the Hunters, which does kind of suck, but back in the day, the Hunters were like always around in the games. They kind of still are, which is the best thing about them, in my opinion. But even the new Hunter Gammas in RE3 Remake, those were a really cool new twist to the Hunters that I didn't see coming, and I don't think a lot of people did. That's the awesome thing about the Hunters, is that they always look different in every single one of the games, and they're always just so intimidating and scary, especially the one that they added in for Resident Evil Reverse with the Outbreak costume. Okay, so number 5, I could see maybe turning some heads on people, but hear me out, guys. I think the Uroboros, just in general, is really interesting. I didn't even know really what to like say for like the creature like type or whatever for this list, so that's why I just said Uroboros, because what I like about it the most is the fact that it came back in Revelations 2, and I don't think a lot of people know about that. Resident Evil 5 introduced the Uroboros, and they said it was similar to the Las Plagas in RE4, but Revelations 2 brought it back for some reason, and that's why you see Neil, the first picture I showed, is why he's got that like weird worm tentacle thing. If you see that in Resident Evil, you know that's Uroboros. At least that's what I'm pretty sure of. But anyways, yeah, Uroboros, number 5, agree with me or not, I think it made for some of the better parts in Resident Evil. But moving on. Okay, number 4, I put the Regenerators. Obviously, I think this would be high up there on a lot of people's list, debatably even higher, but wait until you see what I have at the top 3. For now, I've got Regenerators at number 4, and they made for some of the scarier experiences, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I think that some of the best creatures are the ones that you see pop up a lot, like Lickers, Hunters, whatnot, those things. But I will say that the Regenerators do strongly hold their spot at number 4, just for the one game appearance that they had, and of course we do kind of know that they're going to be in the RE4 remake, which is coming out very soon. I'm very hyped for it. But yeah, the Regenerators should be coming back in there, so we'll be able to get more Regenerator experiences and kind of ideas, probably have some new looks for them and all of that, because I know that the original had the Iron Maiden, which was supposed to be like the top-notch Regenerator. But other than that, let's move on to number 3. Number 3, I put the Crimson Heads, and the Crimson Heads are some pretty intense enemies. I know this is another one, guys, where they only appear in one game, but man, they made such an impact. I mean, this was to remake Resident Evil 1. They remade the game with new enemy type, the Crimson Heads, and a new boss, Lisa Trevor. So that's pretty huge for a remake of a game, if you think about it. And I mean, these things do not go down for no one. I mean, even if you get decapitated, they will still come after you. I mean, watch this clip of this guy who had to experience it himself.
Uh-oh. I was afraid of that. And of course, thank you for the follow. What? 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 I'm leaving. What? What was that?
So, number 2, we've got the chainsaw enemies, and just for the record, if my voice sounds any different than the last previous recordings, it's because I've taken quite a bit of a break, and on top of that, I've gotten sick with something, but I've heard a lot of people late this week have just come down with something, and it's pretty much a mysterious sickness, and I think that's what I got. But anyways, now I'm just kind of laying in bed, sick, don't have much to do, realizing that we are only at the top 2 for this list. I've been working on this video for quite some time, and I feel like I owe it to you guys to actually get this out. So I'm gonna work on it and hopefully get it done here tonight because I got nothing better to do. But anyways, moving on to the chainsaw enemies. This is an enemy that I've always liked because it is always around. I mean, it's in several of the games, ever since RE4 when it was originated, and then that went into RE5, and of course RE6, so on. And I just really like the enemies that wield weapons. I don't know if that's something that you guys are kind of into as well when it comes to these Resident Evil creatures, but I like the ones that can actually have the whereabouts to actually use a weapon of some kind. It makes them look a lot more intimidating than they already do with just their body type in general. But yeah, other than that, the chainsaw enemies have always been a memorable creature. They've always done them really well and brought them into the game with really cool cutscenes in each 4, 5, and 6. So I really do respect that. Even the Revelations enemy, what was that called? Skagdad, has a chainsaw as well that he comes equipped with on his arm, so that's always pretty cool. The Resident Evil franchise is always taking it up a notch with their creatures and whatnot. But yep, I'm gonna move on to number 1, and yep. Number 1 on my list is Executioners. So I don't know how many people would agree or disagree with this, but the Executioners have always been, I think, my selling point, or at least if I'm gonna try and go way back, Resident Evil 5 was actually the one that really sold it for me. And not only that, but I think having that Executioner part show up in the beginning of Public Assembly is just really what sold it for me. And I remember being a kid, and I had already experienced RE4, some of the other ones like Code Veronica and Dead Aim, and RE2, so I was a fan. But if Capcom really wanted me to just be fully immersed into Resident Evil's franchise, 5 was really what did it to me. When it came out, I was hooked, and I've forever been hooked on Resident Evil ever since then, so I gotta give it to 5, I gotta give it to the Executioners. They even showed up in Revelations 2 in raid mode, and I thought that was pretty cool. Not only that, but they did show up in Resident Evil Afterlife, the movie, and I was actually in the theaters when that came out, and I remember seeing it, and that was really awesome. How they used to use the quarters and coins for ammo because they ran out of bullets, and it was made for a really good movie. I think my favorite Resident Evil movie, and it included the Executioners, and that might have been the best reason why it was the best Resident Evil movie. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm still very sick. I'm gonna take a break, but I'm glad I finally got this video out to you guys. I hope you guys agreed with the list. I hope you guys don't hate my sick voice too much, and I will be back with some banger content shortly. So stay tuned and peace.